Hello, hello, Mr. P here, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about how rock bands can actually learn from Taylor Swift. Yeah. Hey there, and welcome to episode 14 of Cup of Tea with Mr. P. Now, I bet you're probably wondering, what could rock bands learn from Taylor Swift? Well, I guess you're going to have to keep watching to find out my whole rant on this one, but I promise you, definitely worth the watch, and if you go to concerts, something that you'll probably agree with me on afterwards. Before we get into my latest little rant here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button below. It probably doesn't mean much to you, but the YouTube algorithm is not much a friend of mine, so, button. Yay. Thanks. When I first came up with this rant series idea a few years ago, I actually made a list of different topics that I wanted to talk about. And a couple months ago, I was reminded of this particular one after going to a Melanie Martinez concert. I know what you're probably thinking. Why would you go to that show? You like rock and metal. Actually, I listen to rock, metal, pop, blues, country. As a songwriter, what better way to keep yourself open to new ideas and get inspired than to listen to other styles of music and not completely close yourself off? Now, as an educator, I was turned on to this artist by basically checking out the music my students mentioned that they listen to. And lo and behold, that's how I got into her music. So, this particular tour Martinez is doing is called the Trilogy Tour. And within this 2-hour spectacle of a concert, she has it sectioned off into 3 acts, each focusing in on a different album. Crybaby, K-12, and her latest, Portals. Now, what I thought was cool about this was the fact that there was a focus on songs from each album, which each part of the show acted as a musical showcase for that era of her career, just a lot more theatrical as evidenced by the show itself. Now, this should sound a little familiar. Who else has been doing something a bit similar? Taylor Swift. Now, I bet you're ready to close this video out right now, huh? Keep watching, we're going to get to my point here. Now, though I've only watched video of the Eras Tour, I have to give a huge applause and respect to what Taylor is doing. Her tour also focuses in on different, eras of her career, by album cycle. She's putting on a 3.5-hour show, really giving fans a huge bang for their buck. Now, albeit it's a whole lot of bucks, but that's besides the point. Concert tickets have gone up a ton in price since concerts were allowed to go on again after COVID. My main point that I wanted to touch on is that I think many artists, especially rock bands, are kind of giving their fans the short end of the stick in the live setting. There have been a few articles recently with bands like Smashing Pumpkins, Queens of the Stone Age, and Twisted Sister, where they've been giving differing opinions on this idea. Now, you have someone like Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins who recently stated in an interview that really picked a lot of clickbaity traction, stating that, "I don't play any songs I don't want to play. I don't care if they're a classic or not. If I don't want to play it, I just don't play it. I don't put that on the audience like, well, I've got to play this one for you." It's not a bad thing that fans want to hear songs that they love. He cautioned that bands can't live in the past. It's the death of any artist, and that fans don't want some aging relic, which is why he believes new music is vital in an emotionally engaging show. The key, he explained, is finding balance between old and new material, a concept that took him many years to comprehend himself. Now, I want to note that Smashing Pumpkins are a very rare band that happens to have a lot of hits, like over 40. That's a lot, which means in the span of a concert at this point in their career, they're either going to do one of two things: put on a ridiculously long marathon concert, which they can do, or vary their set list often. To make a comparison, Pearl Jam, who, though they don't have as many hits as Smashing Pumpkins have, actually vary their set list every night in these 2.5 to 3 hour long concerts. The last time Pearl Jam came down to my state, I saw them on 3 dates, and you know what? Every show was different. I think they only repeated a dozen songs, like out of each night's 30 songs in back-to-back night shows. And that's exactly why many of their fans go to multiple shows, and oftentimes travel to see them, because they know that they're going to get a different set list every time, and that's actually really cool. When Smashing Pumpkins did their more uniform reunion tour in 2018, they put on a marathon 3-hour, 30-song show. And you know what? It wasn't all singles focused. This was an arena tour where you might think they might focus on just that, but they didn't. Sure, you got songs like Disarm, Tonight Tonight, Bolt with Butterfly Wings, and Zero, but you also got Soma, Mayonnaise, and Hummer, as well as a few covers. This tour kind of played it a bit safe, but also delivered a 3-hour show. Corgan has found a way to balance new and old, and it's definitely showing in more recent tours as the band has put out 3 new albums, including the triple album Autumn in 2023. Songs such as Empires, Harmageddon, Spellbinding, and Beguiled have become welcome additions and staples in the band's sets. In 2008, however, this didn't work out too well when the band went on their 20th anniversary celebration tour and received a lot of backlash, primarily from hipster media outlets who complained about the shows essentially not being greatest hit sets. Meanwhile, you had fans who loved the fact that they got to hear songs like Speed Kills, Transformer, and The Beginning is the End is the Beginning live, the latter being an absolutely incredible addition to their shows. So what exactly is so wrong with bands putting new songs, deep cuts, or non-singles as some might see them, into their set list? Well, nothing. In fact, if you're a fan of the band, odds are you buy their albums, or in today's case, stream them, which means you're familiar with the album or have found non-singles that you love, because let's be honest, the non-singles very often end up becoming bigger fan favorites than the singles are. Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age has recently said that he understands that I'm always going to play No One Knows because I still like playing that song, and that's something that's in agreement with the audiences. I assume that this is a part of coming here to see us, and here you go. When there's bands that don't want to play their big song or their big songs, I always think it's a little crappy to do that. Acting like a song that a lot of people like is a burden is just a strange reaction to the gift that your fans have given you. Seems like an odd reaction. Now this is something that Josh can kind of say and live with because his band doesn't exactly have hit singles. A few radio hits, yes, but not such a large array as bands like my earlier mentions of Smashing Pumpkins and Pearl Jam. So their sets, though at the very least 2 hours, get to have more of those deeper cuts. Plus they probably don't have people who are coming to see them just to hear No One Knows, Go With the Flow, and Little Sister. But then you have someone like JJ French of Twisted Sister who thinks that fans only want to hear the hits. He was recently quoted stating that if you go, here's a song from our new record, they'll go to the bathroom or they'll go buy food or something. They'll tolerate it until you get to the old stuff. I mean, all these bands, even if you go out there thinking the fans want to hear it, they don't. Now, this is kind of a quote I feel like should be taken more with a grain of salt because, again, JJ, your band really only had like 3 hits. What does that say about the rest of your material, both non-singles and new songs, that people don't want to hear it? Or could it possibly be that you don't really have enough confidence in your newer works since to perform it? Just saying. And herein, after all that, comes to my main point, I guess. Yeah, I know it took me a while, but I wanted to give a bit more context before I actually got to this point, so it made a bit more sense. There are a lot of acts out there now, some of whom who have been blessed to have careers 10, 20 years now, who are putting on greatest hit sets, tour after tour. They've been consistently putting out new albums the whole time, but still only perform greatest hit sets. Now, I hate to point fingers at some bands because some of them I've actually either interviewed or known at some time, but there are quite a few who get played on terrestrial radio, as well as XM, who go out and put on like 12 to 14 song sets in like an hour and 15, hour and a half long show that are comprised primarily of singles. When I was in publishing years ago, I was at a big festival show in Fort Myers, and there were 2 bands I went to see, both with careers equally as long as they both put out their debut album at around the same time, and they both had equal set times. One band played a set that was singles focused, but didn't even play their brand new single. The other band played 2 songs off their upcoming album, despite a single not even being released. I saw both of these bands every time they came down to my area during the tour cycle of their first album, and their headline sets were around an hour and 20 minutes each. Literally playing their whole first album and even throwing in new work in progress songs and a cover. Now fast forward 15, 20 years later, and they're still playing 12 to 14 song, hour and 15, hour and 20 minute long sets, only now focused on singles. Something seems off here. Is it laziness? Do they not think that people who very obviously love their band won't dig their new music? So my question is, do artists do this because they feel someone like JJ French has a point and the fans only want to hear the big hit radio singles? Does the band not have the confidence in their new material or think that the fans don't like the new songs? This is something I've actually been wondering for quite a while. Obviously, I'm a massive music fan. I've been going to concerts since I was in middle school, and it's a trend that I've only seen gotten worse over the years. It's come to the point where I've gone to shows and heard people around me actually say out loud, "They played the same set list the last 3 times I saw them." Now, don't you think this might start to turn your fans off from continuing to see you live? Seriously, what's the point in putting out new albums if you're going to continue to tour the same tired set list over and over again of the hits? So, what do you think? Should more bands be taking a cue from Taylor Swift and Melanie Martinez and visit all eras of their careers during their shows? Are there favorite artists of yours who have been doing this whole resting on the laurels of our hit singles tours? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what some of you have to say about this. While you're at it, hit that like and subscribe button below to keep up with my rant series and tone matching videos. That's about it for right now. I'm Mr. P, and I'll be seeing you soon.